For a time, the combination of Sega and Disney begot some excellent software. My first taste of this came with the Castle of Illusion games for the Genesis and Game Gear. They were two very distinct experiences and both surprised me by how well they were developed. I had no special love for Disney or its characters, yet I was drawn to the excellent art direction by the 16-bit Genesis version in 1990. Mickey's world was so alive and it was so cool to see the various themes play out across the screen. The gameplay was incredibly easy to pick up and almost impossible to put down. On the Game Gear in 1991, Mickey's 8-bit adventure was a masterful trek across similar areas, but completely different layouts and gameplay challenges. It served as its own adventure that was well worth taking itself. This version also had a Master System variant that very same year. Sega kept the train rolling with more Disney goodness at the end of 1991, releasing not one but two games based on Donald Duck. The Genesis received Quackshot, a game that would expand on the simple formula seen in Castle of Illusion by adding stages that would need to be explored and played again with new abilities to find your way to the end. It was heavily advertised and received outstanding ratings in the game magazines of the time. But lurking in its shadow was a game that didn't get nearly as much attention. The Lucky Dime Caper was developed for the Game Gear and Master System as the 8-bit counterpart of Quackshot, starring the same heroine but in a very different adventure. Was it anywhere near as good as Castle of Illusion? And did it hold up next to Donald's more celebrated Genesis outing? Let's find out. Our story begins with Scrooge McDuck regaling his grandnephews Huey, Dewey, and Louie with the tale of his lucky dime. It was the first money he would earn on his way to becoming the richest duck alive. To get them started on their own journey, Scrooge McDuck gifts them 3 lucky dimes of their very own. But just when all seems right in the world, the evil Magica Dispel appears, steals all the lucky dimes, and then kidnaps Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Donald is ready to get the kids back, and Scrooge promises him a huge reward if he can collect the lucky dimes along the way. The gameplay is that of an action platformer with a heavy emphasis on the platforming. There are enemies of course, but the majority of the challenge you'll face is negotiating the obstacles and trying to survive the environments. The opening 3 stages can be taken in any order you please. It's these stages where you will find Huey, Dewey, and Louie. You'll traverse a wooded area, a massive lake, and the Andes Mountains. Once you get back your nephews, you must then collect the lucky dimes. First, you'll go after the 3 that had been given to your nephews. You'll visit a tropical island, the pyramids, and the South Pole, which can all be played in any order just like the first 3 areas. The final battle for Scrooge McDuck's lucky dime takes place at Magica's castle. Every one of these levels ends in a boss encounter, usually some animal that is in cahoots with Magica for some reason. Donald's gameplay in the Master System release is straightforward and easy to understand. You can jump on enemies to defeat them, or you can use a couple of different weapons. There's the hammer that you start the game with. It's a close-up melee option that acts as sort of a vitality indicator. Take a hit and you lose the hammer. Take another hit and you'll lose a life. You can also procure the frisbee in the field, which is your long-range weapon. Like the hammer, if you take a hit, you'll lose it. You'll need to kill enemies to get them back. There are also other items you'll come across. Stars act as a means to increase your attack speed. Collect 5 stars and Donald becomes invincible for a short time. Gems are collected as a way to increase your score. Keys open locked doors, and of course the 1-up gives you an extra life. Keep a lookout for treasure boxes that contain items, and you'll also get some stuff from the defeated enemies. Stages are timed so you don't have long to fool around. Should you lose all of your lives, there are unlimited continues to get you back into the action, but you'll restart the stage from the beginning. It is important to note that the Game Gear features a number of important differences from its Master System cousin. Taking damage there does not take away your weapon, but instead uses a hit point system that is replenished by the aforementioned stars. The stages aren't timed, they have enemy placement and layout differences, and it has more items preset across the stages. The only real negative is that you can't retrace your steps because the screen only scrolls forward. There are also some presentational differences in the cinematics, and the differences in resolution means that it feels a lot more zoomed in. The visuals of Lucky Dime Caper are extremely impressive. It's not far off from what you had seen in early 16-bit titles for the PC Engine and Mega Drive. The color use here is on point and it gives each stage a distinct and very attractive appeal. The cinematics are detailed and worthy of the time they occupy the screen. The sprites look great too, with detail, variety, and animation that does the hardware proud. No kidding. You add up everything this game does right graphically, and you simply can't help but to be impressed. I would go so far as to say it's better looking than even Castle of Illusion. And if you know my feelings on that game, those are some pretty big words. What's even more amazing was that this game was on a measly 2 megabits of ROM. The programmers at Sega worked magic getting everything in this game to fit into that space. I can only imagine what could have been had it been another meg or two in size. The only area I have any real complaints about are sometimes the backgrounds could use a bit more detail. While some are loaded and look great, a few take the easy way out and barely have anything at all. This sometimes applies to the foregrounds as well, but it's mostly a background issue. This is almost certainly a side effect of that 2 megs of ROM we spoke about earlier. Not every stage is going to drip the same level of eye candy at that size. I wish I could tell you the sound and music were at the same level as the graphics, but a lot of what's here is just adequate. While nothing will rip your ears to shreds, it's not the best I've heard on the Master System. You know how it is with PSG. It tends to be an acquired taste at the best of times, and you may need to adjust the volume to compensate. I have a few samples for you to see what I mean. Going back and playing through this again was a pleasure. I dare say an 8-bit masterpiece worthy of Sega's name and a place among the console's better titles. It's 7 stages of well-balanced gameplay, challenge that will keep you coming back, and a presentation that rarely fails to impress. It's the perfect companion to Castle of Illusion, equaling that game's excellence and fun factor, while adding a much-needed boost to the challenge. Sega really did some fantastic things with the Disney license while they had it, and you can add this to the long list of must-play adventures. So then, is there anything here worth complaining about? I mentioned the sound may only appeal to some players, and a few of the backgrounds are too empty, but there are a few other things to keep it from absolute perfection. The hit detection sometimes is grossly unfair. Things that you can jump on often seem to damage you either for no reason, or damage you when you land a perfectly timed move. There are also some very cheap elements to boost the difficulty, like fire flying through walls and platforms to nail you at odd angles. This one may also challenge the youngsters quite a bit for a Disney title, maybe even a little too much. A platforming veteran will make fairly short work of this, but some of these stages require patience and trial and error to see your way through. There are some areas that even pissed me off a few times. I can see some younger gamers becoming frustrated with it, so you may want to lend a hand if you're playing with the family. But none of that is meant as a game-breaking negative that would impact this title's overall quality. It gets so much right that just being part of this world feels great, and every Master System owner owes it to themselves to take the trip. I also want to take a moment and shout out the Game Gear Edition. It plays remarkably well itself, perhaps even better, and retains most of the appeal in the visuals. The difficulty also is balanced out better thanks to a more robust hit point system and the presence of more extra lives sprinkled over the stages. As I mentioned earlier, it has quite a few differences that make it worth a look, even if you've defeated it on the Master System. Because this game released so late into the life of the Master System, it never saw the light of day for that console in Japan or North America. It was the Game Gear Edition that would be widely released around the globe, and where many of you likely played it first. I found it rather interesting to browse the reviews for this game by the magazines of the day. Pretty much every European-based publication I found heaped nothing but praise on it, echoing many of the sentiments I shared with you here today. They spoke of excellent visuals and outstanding gameplay, typically rating it in the 8 and 9 territories. This was contrasted heavily by the opinions found in Japanese and American reviews. GamePro went easy on it overall, calling it above average, but the Japanese Famitsu was completely unimpressed, with 2 of its reviewers being absolutely savage. Your mileage is likely to vary depending on your appreciation for Sega's other Disney offerings. If you enjoyed the likes of Castle of Illusion, I'd give you an enthusiastic recommendation. If the cutesy stuff or the IP itself is a turnoff, nothing here is gonna change your mind. For those of you that love collecting games, the UK got a killer Master System Limited edition of this that came with a cassette tape with popular Disney tunes, a t-shirt, and a special box to hold it all. If you play this and enjoy it, Donald was also the lead in Deep Duck Trouble, another 8-bit adventure on the Master System and Game Gear. It too was well made, but I definitely consider the Lucky Dime Caper his best outing. I'm Sega Lord X. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you next time.